Good morning, guys. Um, because of all the snow days and everything, and the missing days that we had for the long weekend, I have to do some DRA testing. So I'm going to record this lesson so that you guys can still work on something during reading today. Today, you're going to learn how to state facts after you read a passage, after you read a nonfiction passage in your own words. And we're going to be looking at the book, The History of the Bicycle. So this will also be something that we can look at and talk about during science for invention convention. When we look at this, we're going to look at, um, we're going to read, I'm going to read one of the sections for you, and I'm going to model how to do this, and then you're going to be able to do this with another one of the sections. So the first thing we're going to look at is the table of contents. So I see an introduction, early bicycles, the ordinary, the safety bicycle, the future of bikes, and then the glossary. And now I'm going to get to start to read. And as I read, I'm going to be paying attention for new things that I learned, and I'm going to be able to say these new things in my own words. Introduction. People started building bicycles in the 1800s. Since then, bicycles have grown more and more popular. Today, more than 1 billion people around the world ride bicycles. The design of bicycles has changed over time. However, one thing stays the same: two wheels and a lot of fun. Early bicycles. Carl Drace built the first bicycle in 1817. He called his invention the running machine. The frame and the wheels of this early bike were made of wood. It had no pedals. Instead, the rider pushed the machine along with his or her feet. In the years following, inventors made many changes to the bicycle. Around 1840, the first pedals were added to the bike. The pedals turned the rear wheel with cranks attached to long rods. Pedals allowed the rider's feet to remain off the ground as he or she rode. During the 1860s, two French inventors made pedals that turned the front wheel of the bicycle. Their new bike had a heavy iron frame and tires made of iron or wood. Now I'm going to stop right there before I get to the section, the ordinary, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to state two facts that I learned in my own words. Now I am going to look back at the passage. With early bicycles, one of the things that I realized that I learned when I was reading was that the first bicycle didn't have any pedals. Now it says right here it had no pedals. And instead, the rider pushed the machine along with his or her feet. So the way that I can say this in my own words is that the first bicycle had no pedals, but the rider had to use his or her own feet to push the bicycle along. So as you can see, I didn't repeat the same words, but I spun it into my own way of saying it. The other thing that I learned is that the first pedals were added to the bike and they turned the rear wheel with cranks attached to a long rod. That seems like a lot of words to say, and it seems very similar to what's said here. So I can say it in my own words by saying that pedals were attached to a rear wheel and they were attached to a long piece, and that long piece turned the rear wheel with cranks. Now, both of these things were stated in the passage, but I instead said it in my own words. You guys are now going to get a chance to do the same thing. You're going to read the section of this book called The Ordinary. You see, as the ordinary starts right here, and then it goes on to this following page. You're and you guys are going to get to read that section, and you're going to say two facts that you learned in your own words. After you do the section for the ordinary, you're going to be able to go on and do it for the safety bicycle as well. You're going to learn a lot of new facts in these, and I can't wait to hear the two facts that you've learned in your own words after reading this passage. Please remember to remain quiet when you're doing this so that other students can read and focus at the same time. And I'll see you in just a little bit.